In this video, I want to go over gap continuation 2019 and 2020. I want to show you some adjustments for this strategy that could work well, why it has not worked well lately, and I want to show you this. It's one of our top strategies, one of my favorite ways to trade. It has a $300 stop loss, which is really tight for this type of market. So I'm going to show you one of the things you could do for this. There's two adjustments basically, and I'm going to show you that with format strategy. So you format the strategy. One of the things that we have seen is a start time, 9:30. We wait for an hour in, and lately since August 1st, the market has just taken off from 8:30, the Central Standard Time start time. This is on exchange time. So start time, we typically wait an hour, and the reason we've done that is because the market typically has had more clarity in the past. After the first hour, we made a video on chopper which showed how the market chopped for the first hour to hour and a half. And so additionally, we have other strategies that trade right at the open. So the concept of time diversity on catching the trend. And you take different strategies that start at different times instead of all starting them at the same time. So you could adjust this strategy to start right at the open, and it's done really well with a bigger stop loss starting at 8:30 since August the 1st. So August the 1st, we just see markets that they gap up. So the market closes here, it gaps up and runs, and then it chops the rest of the day. Gaps down, chops the rest of the day. So what you could do here is you can change this start time to 8:30, change the stop loss to 700. You could also change the max daily entries. If you use range filter, it will not take a lot of trades. Changing this with these settings right here to range filter to true with these exact same settings is gap continuation 2020. And so I've set it up so that in one easy language file, gap continuation 2020 2.0, and gap continuation 2020 is using range filter set to true. Keeping range filter set to false is gap continuation 2019. And so we're talking about 2019 right here. We're still keeping 2020, the range filter on 2020 set to false. Trade that one during lower volatility, and 2019 is just aggressive. And so going with the gap continuation 2019 settings, which you see here, we're simply going to change start time to 8:30, stop loss amount to 700. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to show you the results. So you come in here and format this strategy, change this to 8:30, and actually let's just trade the first hour, 8:30 to 9:30, and stop loss amount 700. 300 is just too tight for an aggressive strategy like this. You've got to give it more room, or you've got to back off if it's too much of a stop loss for you. You have to back off and trade micros in this scenario. So let's change that. Let's make that change, and I'm going to show you the results. I'm going to say OK, close. I'm going to pause the video while this updates. So you see, since this time period here, August the 6th, this equity curve has been outstanding. You start at the minus $4,000 level. It goes all the way up to 33,000. So you're talking about 37,000 since August the 1st, trading this pattern. You have a pullback here of about $9,000, I believe. Let's see, the $9,000, it does have a $9,000 drawdown, but this one, that's right here. So this drawdown, it still has drawdown. So from 9/9/20, 18/9/65 to 11/7/715 is $8,200, $7,200, I guess. So 12,440 from this point, from 9/21, which is about 6 weeks ago, just straight up. And this is when we started seeing this pattern. Started seeing it in August, and then for sure 6 weeks ago, where you just get this gap continuation at the open and then chop the rest of the day. You could probably add a profit target. You could probably add an exit time that's earlier and maybe get better results as well. This is an adjustment. You can see it did not work going back. So the gap continuation 2019 as it was, starting from 9:30 to 11:30, 1 hour to 3 hours in, did well during this time period, and then recently has done that. It's not that smooth, it's choppier. But most recently we've had a lot of consecutive losers. Stop loss is too tight, and so you could have a $700 stop loss as well. I want to show you if you just kept gap continuation in this time frame with the $700 stop loss and 1 max daily entry, it looks pretty good as well. So let's go back, and I want to first go back and look at the 9:30 to 11:30. And this is not optimization. We're not running an optimization tool. We're not curve fitting. We're noticing a pattern difference lately, and so you could adjust to that pattern difference that we see right now in the market, and you could split it up. You could keep some of your contracts trading this gap continuation setup, and the other trading the other gap continuation setup that we just went over. So I'm going to pause the video. Keep in mind what this performance summary looks like. So this worst case drawdown is lower, but you see how well this is done to here. Look how well it's done to here, all the way to 10-12, and then just since 10-12, it's just one loser after another. Normal to go through a drawdown like this with a tight stop, and so you could continue to trade this or not. It's had 23 consecutive losers in a row at $300 a piece, 1938. We definitely need a bigger stop loss with this setup, so let's change the stop loss to 700. If you change this range filter to true, it's just not trading. Gap continuation 2020, which is in a lot of the portfolios like the 25K portfolio, it's just not trading. So if you want to change this stop loss amount to 700, so really nice results still. This is the one we talked about. We've talked about this. It's having this drawdown right here, similar to this drawdown, and so I really like this setup. It's still we're not changing much. We're just adjusting for volatility. We're not all of a sudden just trading the first hour only. So I would hate to just lose that diversity. So I would try to trade both versions. If you're trading more than one contract, split up your contracts on different inputs. So format strategies. And we can look at, one of the things we looked at was setting this to use the range filter. No, that's 2020. Use max daily entries. We talked about that. Set that to true. Set that to true. 1 max daily entry. Even better results. Almost a 2.0 profit factor. This is with slippage and commission. Smaller drawdown here. 45.15. 410 average trade profit. Here is the equity curve. So this is one setup to look at, is trading gap continuation with 1 max daily entry. We're not continue to enter throughout the day. If it stopped out, we just stop on the day. You know your daily risk with slippage and commission instead of just taking multiple trades with $300 stop losses. So this is the one change that we recommend, is a $700 stop loss, 1 max daily entry. The other is to change the time frame in which you enter on the strategy, 8:30 to 9:30, and we did not have the max daily entry in before. We'll go ahead and test it this time and see what it looks like with the max daily entry from 8:30 to 9:30. So almost $200 average trade profit, not as much, not as good of a trade at that hour long term, but it's done well since August 6, 2020, and the recent equity curve is better. The last month or so, this equity curve is up instead of that drawdown you saw on the other one. So we could do some further back testing of this, but I think the 9:30 to 11:30 is better long term. If you're just looking for right now, you could trade the August pattern, and definitely the September, since the end of September pattern of changing this time frame to 8:30 to 9:30. And so that's what I wanted to share with you. This explains why certain strategies go through drawdowns when patterns in the market change. We're not creating math formulas to fit the market, but markets, if we find an inefficiency in a market and we find that after the first hour and a half, a gap continuation trends, and then all of a sudden we're in a market environment where the only trend of the day is the first hour, and then it chops, which is what we've seen. So the market will close down here, do this overnight, and then first hour up, and then chop, and then maybe even reverse. And so same thing, market closes here, gap down, opens right here, continues, and then chops, and then even reverses. So we're seeing a lot of this, and this pattern, just getting in on that first hour. You could exit after the first hour as well. I'm going to go ahead and test that on here. Making a mini webinar today on gap continuation for you. Let's look at exit time. It's 14:30. Well, let's just exit at 10. After, let's say 10:45, it seems to be a time when the market tends to stop trending lately. So you see it with the equity curve, that really captures the essence of what the market's doing since the beginning of August. You see these spikes. The market will take that first hour trend, in first hour, hour and a half, and getting out after that has worked well since the beginning of August. Right here you see it, a little bit of a drawdown here, and then lately we're seeing that as well. You know, just boom, first hour, get out. Catch that breakout move, market opens higher, boom, you're on it. You have $700 stop loss, 1 daily entry maximum. Get out with a $700 stop loss, or after, at 10:45 Central, even earlier maybe. So even maybe test a profit target. 12 minutes into this video, it's a mini clinic today on gap continuations and how patterns change in the market and how you can adjust that. I am currently just adjusting for volatility, so all I'm going to do potentially is to keep this from 9:30 to 11:30 and use the $700 stop loss, max daily entry of 1, exit time of 14:30, and take a look at how that can affect some of the portfolios. Gap continuation 2019 is, if you're trading gap continuation 2020, you might consider trading gap continuation 2019 instead. Setting the range filter to false, or using a different easy language file if you have NinjaTrader, and consider using these settings in your setup so that you could trade at a different time of day. So that's the mini clinic, mini webinar today on gap continuation, potential changes. Again, not a lot of changes recommended. Just a bigger stop loss, max daily entry of 1, and if you want to catch what's going on right here, you adjust the times on this.